Hi, AJ Hartley here, novelist, Shakespeare professor, fan of good TV, and I'm doing a series of little mini reviews talking about shows that have come my way, recent shows, and I'm starting with a series of thrillers. I have a number of these videos planned, but I'm going to begin with the Idris Elba fronted miniseries Hijack and go on to talk about season 3 of Slow Horses. Hope you like them.
I need a team of good agents, but I just have the slow horses.
Before we get into the review itself, I'm talking about mysteries and thrillers because I write mysteries and thrillers, among other things. So if you haven't already checked out my stuff, please do so. There's a link in the description that will take you to my website, and you'll find all the books there by AJ Hartley and Andrew Hart, which is my other writing name, and I hope you find something there that you like. Let me start with Slow Horses, season 3.
All right, make this quick. I've got underlings to bully. I'm busy.
No one in Slough House is busy.
Come on, get on with it.
A team from MI5 has gone rogue. And Standish has been taken.
What's the plan? I need a team of good agents, but I just have the slow horses. The traitors we're looking for. Ex-military.
There will be a reckoning.
You can wipe your slate clean.
Okay. There's another game being played that will probably leave me worse off. I just can't see what this one is yet.
It's an honour to be selected for field work.
Shut up.
Got it.
Really? Check the CCTV. I'd be amazed if you hadn't missed something.
I still had oversight of the slow horses. Lucky me.
There are men outside with guns. Some backup might be handy.
Well, I'm busy.
Okay, thanks. I'm sure the situation will resolve itself.
The MI5 betrayed us. Justice is coming their way.
We have to limit the collateral damage.
Everyone in that facility is coming out in a body bag.
You're smiling.
Yeah, I feel alive, don't you?
What would you have done? I'd have killed every one of them. If they threatened to kill you, on the other hand, I'd buy them a beer and the bullets. I know you get.
Slow Horses, if you're not familiar with it, is a British espionage series based on a series of novels starring Gary Oldman, and the show is inspired by Le Carré and that kind of small, quiet, grim and grimy version of spycraft. It's not Jason Bourne, it's not James Bond. It's the small, ordinary, and often quite soul-destroyingly brutal version of international intelligence. This is doubly the case with Slow Horses because the premise of the show is that all the spies working for MI5 in the UK who have sort of screwed up have been farmed off to Slough House, which is this minor branch of the intelligence service, underfunded, underutilized, undertrained, and all the sort of misfits and rejects finish up there under the control of this guy called Lamb, played by Gary Oldman, who is a drunk, kind of disgusting, unpleasant, curmudgeonly guy, but who is good at what he does. The first 2 series were very quiet. It's a small, quiet story, cleverly written and escalating as it goes along. But it tends to focus on the interpersonal dynamics of these various misfits, their attempts to revive their careers while figuring out what's going on in a conventional spy story. Season 3 is in some ways a simpler plot, but ratchets up the level of more conventional movie action. I've never seen so much sort of gunfire and what have you in Slow Horses than we did in this season. And the premise of the show is that somebody is kidnapped. A member of the Slow Horses squad is kidnapped by people whose motives are not initially clear, but it's clearly connected to some sort of corruption within the service. And she has to be rescued and the story unraveled. In the course of it, we realize that there are people within the service who are very keen to keep everything buried and who are prepared to basically kill everybody in the process. So we finish up with a big set piece finale where the team are trapped in an underground facility surrounded by armed MI5 officers, and it's a huge shootout, which, as I say, is tonally quite unusual for this show, but it's still done extremely well. And one of the things that it does well is that it manages to keep us invested in all the different members of the team who are all doing different things at the same time, and we're constantly cutting from one to the other so that the level of tension never comes down. It's a great study in how to keep the stakes high while telling quite a complicated, intricate story, you know. And I think, as I say, it's a fine element of that Le Carré style approach to espionage. It's not just Lamb who is cynical. The show itself is cynical. There's a sense of the way that people are used and manipulated in pursuit of supposed national objectives, which are not clearly moral, not clearly good for anybody except people pulling the strings who are protecting their own interests. And brilliantly acted across the board. You know, these are really strong character actors working with fine script, well plotted, and really well shot. So yeah, I strongly recommend it. Another show that I was not aware of, we sort of stumbled on a month or so ago, was Hijack, which is an Idris Elba vehicle about a businessman negotiator who's on a plane when it's hijacked.
With any remaining passengers for flight KA29, please make their way to gate B15.
Good morning, everyone. This is Captain Robin Allen speaking. Flight time today is 6 hours, 54 minutes.
Stay in your seats! Get down! Now! Down!
Operation has commenced.
Phones, tablets.
Plane is under control.
You need to see this.
Plane cleared, of course.
Someone is calling for help.
Got family? Loved ones? We got one job to do right now. Just get through to them.
I got a message from the plane.
Dad says incident on board.
What exactly does your dad do for a living?
It's difficult to explain.
Sam's the best at handling it.
Handling what?
The negotiation.
There are 200 people on this flight. If they try something, and then this plane goes down, I don't get home to my family. Let me make you an offer.
I've been handed demands.
If it's all going wrong in the first hour, imagine the next 6. We need to get a message to the whole plane. We just need to be ready. There's other stuff going down.
5 passengers on that plane do not exist.
It's a network running all across Europe.
To them, we're an incoming missile.
It's either us or them. And I can tell you, it's not going to be us.
It's hard to describe. You know, it was, again, like Slow Horses, it's a mini series. Of course, We spend most of our time with the people on the plane, so it's extremely claustrophobic and extremely tight in every sense. We do have some sense of what's going on. We're following certain elements of the story from people on the ground in a number of different countries as the plane moves towards London, where it may or may not crash. And we're also involved in the families of some of the people on the plane, most of whom don't know what's going on, but who are also in danger for reasons that become clear as the story develops. I say it becomes clear. If the show has a weakness, it's that I'm not entirely sure that the various explanations for what's going on all finally completely work together. They seem to work, and then they're replaced with a sort of twist that takes the story in a slightly different direction that makes us think that what's going on is not what we thought was going on. Now it's something else. And then this happens a couple of times. And by the end, I'm not entirely sure how all the various parts fit together. But as a thriller, it's masterful. It's absolutely brilliant. And while there is violence in it, some of which is quite, grim, it's used relatively sparingly. And the threat of violence, I think, which hangs over the whole show, is in some ways more powerful than seeing a lot of fighting and shooting and so on all the way through the show. It happens occasionally, and when it does, it has power because it's not being used overly much in ways that make you desensitized to it. And it's great, particularly to see somebody like Idris Elba playing the role of somebody who, while he's physically imposing, and you can believe that he could look after himself in a fight, is not relying on that physicality to do what he has to do, that he is a talker. He's a guy who tries to get into people's heads, tries to figure out what's going on. He's making difficult decisions, and they are not always decisions that put him in a good light. I think part of what makes the show work and the character work is that he's trying to get through it, and some of what he's doing is not clearly heroic in the usual tradition of these kinds of stories, right? So it's simultaneously a story where you can't simply rush the hijackers and try to take control of the plane, because the show goes out of its way to show why that won't work, and why even if they were able to get control of the plane, that wouldn't necessarily solve the problem for their families and such on the ground. So it's very tense. It was one of those shows that I dreamed about afterwards, partly because, I fly a fair amount, I suppose. So the reality of it felt very pressing. But that sense of this constant anxiety about what's going to happen next and how you get out of this situation where it seems like all the conventional movie/TV solutions are not going to work was very stressful to watch, but really, really well done. I strongly recommend it. Great show. Great show. That's it. As ever, please like, comment, subscribe. If there are shows you would particularly like me to talk about, let me know in the comments and we will take it from there. Thank you to my patrons. Please check out my books and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.